Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Shiraj Joshi. I'm a consultant psychiatrist in Department of Psychiatry, New Civil Hospital, Surat. Today, I'm taking lecture on neurocognitive disorders and the effects on neurocognitive disorders on various disorders like Parkinson disease, traumatic brain injury, and Lewy body dementia. So first of all, we start neurocognitive disorders like delirium, neurocognitive disorder due to Lewy body, neurocognitive disorder due to Alzheimer's disease, frontotemporal neurocognitive disorders, vascular neurocognitive disorders, neurocognitive disorder due to traumatic brain injuries. In previous lecture, there was the neurocognitive disorder due to Alzheimer's disease, frontotemporal neurocognitive disorders, and the vascular neurocognitive disorders has been taken. Today we are summarize few of topics of delirium and refresh your memory, like delirium, the clouding state of the consciousness in which a person has great difficulty in concentrating, focusing, keeping attention, and a straightforward stream of thoughts. Delirium can affect be traced to one or more contributing factors such as first, severe and chronic medical illness, change in your metabolic balance such as low sodium, medications, infection, surgery, alcohol or drug withdrawal. These are the signs and symptoms of the delirium. Disturbance of the attention often manifested by the reducing ability to focus, direct, sustain and shift attention. Repetition of questions, early distracted by irrelevant stimulus, disturbance of awareness manifested by reduced orientation to environment and time. Signs and symptoms of the delirium usually begin over a few hours or a few days. They often fluctuate throughout the day and there may be period of no symptoms. Symptoms tend to be worse during the night and when it's dark and things look less familiar. It's also called sundowning phenomena. Reduced awareness of environment, cognitive impairment, emotional disturbance and behavioral change. These are the four major criteria of delirium. Now we are talking about type of delirium. First, hyperactive or hyperactive or hyper alert delirium. The patient is hyperactive, aggressive, argumentative and uncooperative. May appear to be responding to internal stimuli. Frequently the people suffering come to our attention because they are difficult to care of. Second, the type of delirium, hyperactive or hypoalert. The person appears to be napping or on and off throughout the day, unable to sustain attention when awakened, quickly falling back asleep, misses meals, medication and appointments, does not ask for care or attention. The type is this type is easy to miss because care for those patients is not problematic to staff. Mixed delirium. This includes both hyperactive and hypoactive symptoms. The person may quickly switch between back and forth from hyperactive and hypoactive state. The most common type are hypoactive and the mixed accounts for approximately 80% of delirium cases. Causes of delirium. Delirium can occur when the normal sending and receiving of the signals in the brain become impaired. The impairment is most likely caused by a combination of the factors that make the brain vulnerable and trigger a malfunction in brain circuit or activities. Delirium may have a single cause or more than one cause, such as medical condition and medication toxicity. Sometimes no cause can be identified. Causes of delirium continue. In a study of the delirium in an earlier patient, Francis and colleagues et al. Identified 5 leading causes of delirium. First, fluid and electrolyte disturbance. Second, infection. Third, medication toxicity. Fourth, metabolic derangements. And 5, sensory environment disturbance. Now we are talking about the differences between dementia and delirium. So many times patient may be misunderstood by consultant or physicians by that patient has a dementia or delirium. So we are now talking about delirium versus a dementia. Dementia has an insidious onset, chronic memory and the executive function disturbance tend not to fluctuate. In delirium, cognitive changes develop acutely and fluctuate. Dementia has intact alertness and attention but improvised speech and thinking. In delirium, speech can be confused or disorganized. Alertness and attention wax and wane. Treatment. First and foremost, treat the underlying causes. Environmental intervention. Cue for orientation must be used. Calendar, clock, family picture and windows. Frequently reorientate the patient. Regarding this, in 3 times a day patient may appear, or when we take round, we must give them patient the orientation about current time, current date, current place, who is with you, who am I, and have family or friends visit frequently. Make sure they introduce themselves. If patient has family and the patient is suffering from delirium, must patient's family member introduce themselves and remind the patient that these are their he or she is patient's. These are these relative. Minimum staff switching. Neurocognitive disorder due to the Lewy body. Lewy body is microscopic protein deposit that damage brain over time. NCDLB is the newest dementia diagnosed with an incidence of 7 per 1,000 individuals among those aged 65 and older. Individuals with NCDLB are often misdiagnosed with NCD due to the new Parkinson's disease. Both show similar motor and cognitive clinical symptoms. There are intense neurotransmitters deficient along the dopaminergic and the cholinergic pathway. In the cholinergic deficit, acetylcholine is responsible for the cognitive dysfunctions, whereas the dopamine effect is responsible for the motor dysfunction. NCDLB can be differentiated from NCD due to the Parkinson's disease based on the chronological onset of time. Individuals with NCDLB with exhibit cognitive symptoms before the onset of motor symptoms. Now, the causes of NCDLB results in a collection of the protein called the Lewy body and progress throughout the neural synapses. As per C, the neural synapses are the presynaptic and postsynaptic ganglions. There is in between there is a space, and there in between that space the synapses are decided, where the synapses have abilities to exchange neurotransmitter. These are the various neurotransmitter as now we are understand it, like serotonin, dopamine, acetylcholine, histamine. Now, the functional deficiencies seen with NCDLB are greater than NCD with Alzheimer's disease as a result of effects on motor and involuntary nervous system. Treatment. When developing a plan for individual with NCDLB, it is important to modify care by having the patient or caregiver rank the cognitive, emotional and motor difficulties by the level of subjective distress. As was seen, the cognitive, emotional and motor difficulties by the level of subjective distress, because the cognitive, emotional and motor difficulties are more prone and more help seeking, in which the age of 65 and elder patient mostly not ask for help about regarding the emotional, cognitive and motor difficulties they suffer in themselves. The medication are effective with many symptoms including fluctuating cognitions, hallucinations and mood disorders. So as per seen, these are the neurotransmitter which are cause the various symptoms like cognitive, emotional and motor difficulties. In those symptoms there is hallucinations also occur, mood swings also occur, agitable, aggression, irritability and cognitive as well as the forgetfulness and the things they learn now gone. Next, so as per previous lecture we now recall some of that part for our benefit. Cognitive disorders caused by Alzheimer's disease. Neurocognitive disorder caused by the Alzheimer's disease (NCD) due to AD is a slow developing non-reversible brain disorder that results in a permanent loss of neurons and neuronal synapses. The loss of neuron is prevalent in the areas of brain responsible for memory, function and cognition. Neural destruction comes for the extracellular neurotic plaque and the neurofibrillary tangles inside neurons. These are the two things that we must aware of because these two things can cause neural destruction. First, extracellular neurotic plaque, and second, neurofibrillary tangles. Acetylcholine, which enable learning and memory, is also decreased. Risk factors. Risk factor for NCD due to AD is the gender neutral. The occupation rate is equal both in male and female. Family history and age increase the risk of developing NCD due to AD. The risk for individual with a parent or sibling with NCD due to AD increase as much as 30% with each afflicted family members. If there is patients with one person of a family member who is NCD due to AD diagnosed, then there is a 30% chance in their new generation they have chances of NCD due to AD. Treatment. Pharmacological treatment of NCD due to AD is including two classes of pharmacological treatments. First, acetylcholinesterase inhibitors, CEIs, and second, N-methyl D-aspartic acid receptor antagonist. Although CEIs do not stop the disease trajectory, they may slow the decline. Now, sorry. Now I see we jump on the second point which were covered in last lecture. The frontotemporal neurocognitive disorder. It is a mental health condition characterized by the abnormal shrinkage in two parts of the brain called the frontal and temporal anterior lobes. The condition replaces an essential equivalent illness as the frontotemporal dementia in DSM-5. The brain's frontal and temporal lobes play a primary role in maintaining brain functions such as ability to use language, the ability to regulate behavior. The specific manifestation of the disorder depends upon the particular portion of the frontal and temporal lobes that undergo shrinkage as well as the degree of shrinkage that occur at any given point in time. Symptoms. Loss of the normal ability to make appropriate decisions or control impulsive urges. Loss of ability to show empathy with others or develop personal motivation. Change in self-grooming or eating habits. Language or speaking related difficulties associated with the disorder includes aphasia, loss of the ability to use or understand words, difficulty with the normal body movement such as rigid or trembling muscles, loss of the ability to coordinate the activity of different muscles, unusual weak muscles or swallowing problems. Rare occurrence of those symptoms. The treatment: frontotemporal neurocognitive disorder is both curable, incurable and progressive. Get worse over time. Doctor can potentially manage the effect of the frontotemporal dysfunction through the use of medication, the type of antidepressant. Vascular neurocognitive disorders. Vascular neurocognitive disorder is a condition characterized by the disruption in the brain blood supply that lead to the impairment of one or more aspect of the personal conscious brain functions. The DSM includes this as a replacement for the condition previously identified as a vascular dementia. The term vascular neurocognitive disorder refers to the body's symptoms of the blood vessels, known medically as the vascular symptoms or the circulatory symptoms. The disorder is named so because the impairment it produced originates from some sort of reduction or blockage in the supply of blood that normally passes through the blood vessels called arteries and into the brain tissues. Causes: first, stroke, a condition that occurs when a brain artery either gets blocked or springs a leak of blood. Ongoing health problems that either decrease the blood vessels' general health or produce the abnormal narrowing in the blood vessels' interior diameter. Conditions that can change and trigger these damaging blood vessels changes includes: first, atherosclerosis, hardened arteries, hypertension, high blood pressure, diabetes, effects of the normal aging process. Treatment: vascular dementia is incurable and inevitably shortens the lives of the affected individuals. However, doctor can potentially slow the disorder's progression or even stop its effects from growing substantially worse over time. Treated with the help of the certain medication originally developed to treat Alzheimer's disease, these medications include a group of drugs known collectively as the cholinesterase inhibitors and a single drug called memantine. Now, jump to our topic: neurocognitive disorder due to the traumatic brain injury (TBI). It is a mental health condition that sometimes arises in the long-term outcome of the physical injury that result in the brain damage. Some people affected by the neurocognitive disorder due to the traumatic brain injury experience symptoms that are severe enough to degrade their ability to lead independent life. Others experience milder symptoms and retain most of their day-to-day mental functions. Neurocognitive disorder due to the traumatic brain injury come in both major and mild form. People with the major form of the disorder have symptoms that the general public commonly refer to as dementia, including such things as memory problems, a declining ability to think logically, and a declining ability to make decisions or control one's behavior. People with the mild neurocognitive disorder due to the traumatic brain injury don't have dementia-like symptoms. Instead, they have less dramatic change in their mental function that can worsen over time. Difference between the mild and major neurocognitive disorders. People with the mild neurocognitive disorder have impairment in their conscious brain functions, prominent enough to produce testing results lower than those found in people unaffected by a disorder, but not prominent enough to produce the serious life disruptions. Individuals with the major vascular neurocognitive disorders produce the test results that are considerably lower than those produced by the individuals with the mild form of the disorders, having impairment that at least particularly partially eliminated their ability to live successfully without some form of outstanding care. Now, we're talking about Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's disease is the second most common neurodegenerative disorder after Alzheimer's disease. The spectrum of the cognitive impairment in Parkinson's disease ranges from mild selective disturbance to the global dementia. Neurocognitive disorder due to Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's disease, degenerative brain disorders, dopamine pathway damage. 1 of 1,000 people are affected worldwide. Chief difficulty, motor problems, tremor, posture, walking and speech. Not at all with Parkinson's disease will develop dementia. Over the 75% survive 10 plus per years after diagnosis. Now other substance. The substance and medication induced neurocognitive disorder result from the prolonged drug use, especially in the combination with poor diet, may be caused by the alcohol, sedative and hypnotic, anxiolytic or inhalant drugs. Brain damage may be permanent. Symptoms similar to the Alzheimer's disease. Deficient may include first memory impairment, aphasia, apraxia, agnosia, disturbed executive functions. Contribution of the neuropsychological factors in the neurocognitive disorders. Psychosocial factors do not cause dementia directly, may influence onset and occurrence. Lifestyle factor, drug use, diet, exercise, stress, these are the factors that may contribute in the neurocognitive disorders. Cultural factors, risk for certain conditions may be antecedent in classes. Psychosocial factors like the educational attainment, coping skill and social support also affect. Medical treatment of neurocognitive disorder. Few primary treatment exist, like previously as per us that first we treat the underlying causes. Most treatments attempt to slow progression of the deterioration but cannot stop it. Future direction. The glial cell derived neurotropic factors, stem cell may slow deterioration. Some drugs target cognitive deficit. Cholinesterase inhibitor, Aricept, Exelon and Reminal. These are the drugs that use for reduce or stop or decrease the disease trajectory or slow its trajectory but not completely stop it. Long-term effect not well demonstrated. Medical treatment of neurocognitive disorder. Exploratory treatments. Ginkgo biloba to improve the memory. Finding are mixed. Drug to treat associated symptom. Selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors for depression and anxiety and antipsychotic for agitations. All are only modestly effective for short period. Currently testing vaccine on the genetically alert mice. Psychosocial treatment of the neurocognitive disorder continue. Aim of the psychosocial treatment, enhance life of patients and their families, teach compensatory skills, use memory enhancement devices if needed, for example memory wallets containing the statements about one's life. Cognitive stimulations can delay onset of more severe symptoms. Caregivers get instructed on how to handle problematic behavior include wandering, socially inappropriate behavior, and aggressive or rebellious behavior. Caregivers also under great deal of stress may need their mental health treatment. Prevention of the neurocognitive disorders, reduce risk in older adults. Use of anti-inflammatory medications, control blood pressure, don't smoke and lead active social life. Other target of the prevention efforts like increasing safety behavior to reduce head trauma, reducing exposure to neurotoxins and use of drugs. Thank you so much.